Arkle 1964 here, and another racecourse, this time an evening meeting at Pontefract Racecourse. I left myself yet again, I cock up nearly, and me pint stroke first race situation. I thought I knew easily how to get to the Robin Hood pub from the Monkhill station, one up the hill anyway. I don't know which one it is, I can never name between Monkhill. It's not town itself, there's 3 train stations, or railway stations I should call it. Some train railway people get very annoyed when you use the word train station, a railway station. And there's Tanshelf, Bag Hill, Monkhill, and it's not a Tanshelf, but there's one up the hill. I know which one it is to get back. I nearly made that mistake once. I checked me train ticket and thought, oh yeah, good lord, no, it's the other one, better get to that one. That's the previous meeting at Pontefract. But it's not as easy as I thought. I had to keep checking Google Maps. A pint, another 20-minute pint, Robin Hood pint. It was the best bitter. As in Darlington was going to Catterick for another evening meeting, had to make it a bit too quick. Got in quite quickly to racecourse, so no problem. First race for once, a winner, a maiden. Look, last night, no name Nicky, not a huge price I think, but I did have a winner for first. Interesting, I was just waiting to get across into the pre-parade ring, and I just cut off because the horses going down, the winner was going down to winners enclosure, had to stop there. And someone said to Fanny Norton, asked him what the ground was like. I think someone works the racecourse, and what Fanny Norton is interesting given what's happened yesterday, controversy about the Oaks and water. He said there's a bit too much water has been put on. That's a bit of a controversy with first. As I said in my Doncaster video, I've got time for a pint afterwards. I go back to Robin Hood pub, it's a nice pub, because of the 9:30ish train, something like that. I can't guarantee watching a final race at Pontefract and getting to it. It's a bit too tight, and it's an advanced ticket, I can't take a risk. And even so, it's actually literally the last train to go back to Newcastle. I just said in that video I'll get back at 5 to 2, probably a bit earlier. It says often the last train to Newcastle, for some reason the timetable, I think it's the Linear train's the last one, I'm not sure of that. It gives a strange Hampton Dome in Newcastle about a quarter an hour longer than it should be, so probably getting in about 1:40 rather than 1:55, which still is very late. Walk with the centre of Newcastle, quite a few drunken people as I normally do, but it's always, I never had issues in Newcastle ever. But once I was about 18, it was once or twice ever. I lived in Newcastle since I was 6. That's unfortunately now 43 years ago. But it's always safe. It's just always quite a few pissed people. But it's never ever been a problem. Not for me anyway. If there's other people I don't know, certainly not for me. I said Pontefract is large. I think the largest flat course in Europe, or towards it. They're not quite. Certainly one of them, and it's very close to being the largest. Can't remember if it is or not quite. It's close. I think I did check once if it's larger than Aintree. It's a very large course at Pontefract with a large gap in the middle. This is quite a national course. I think it's a little smaller, but not by much on Aintree. But it's a huge course. It's good racing. One strange thing happened in Pontefract once. The only time I've actually animal rights protesters came in the centre of the course. I think get into the centre a bit. I'm not quite sure how they did. This is a meeting about 3 years ago. I hung around for a couple of races with some sort of signs, banners, and buggered off after 2 or 3 races. I don't know. I think it's a bit strange. The only protests I've seen, I think about 3 outside, something like that. They will always be better than the horses die, worse to that effect. Well, that's in every course in Britain, and plus 300 plus races. So there's not a lot actually of protests. And something's not. You think well, major meetings it would be, and it's actually not. But yeah, I mean, it's a bit strange situation. Pontefract, a flat course. I wonder if I'm a bit blown by it. I wonder if they didn't know it was a flat track. I thought it was jumps at Pontefract, because I'm past of complaining about the ignorance of Animal Aid about horse racing, who made some street. There's a parliamentary review, and I'll link it. I won't get linked actually, just because it's not doing Pontefract. And it's not. You can find it through archive.org nowadays on the internet, but reviews now actually disappeared off. And Alan made some bizarre statements in that, including saying what the Maximum Field Grand National of 40 was set in mid-2000, so it was actually set in 1983-84, around about then. And secondly, that big bucks and quarter star added paces to race. Talking about Fred's coming in, and well, racing big bucks and quarter stars as well known front runners. It's like saying Mo Farah, as I said once, as pace to a race. It's ludicrous. Quarter star, a huge amount of runs, so front run 3 times, and that was his last 3 races when he changed his tactics, and big bucks. The hold-up horse, the king of all hold-up horses, yeah, he's a front runner, isn't he? That's it. So I wish Animates will stick to what they actually know. I did some very good work actually on avatars a few years back, and I wish they'd just stick to that. They're very good at that, but they know nothing but horse racing. Where there's other stuff they've written, I can't remember what it was now. It was just economic rubbish. It's just literally wrong. You can tell your own opinion, but not your own facts, frankly. Pontefract itself is a nice enough place. A castle, it's pretty derelict actually, but it's nice if you're there, if you're around, it's certainly worth looking at. I always forget if it's Edward II or which II was killed off here, allegedly. And there was one of them who was certainly Edward II who allegedly had to poke up his backside because of the alleged homosexuality causing problems for the monarchy there. And well, of course that's apocryphal, it may not be here, I can't remember if this is I think that's him. Well, Richard II was somewhere else, or Richard II was here. I'll check and put on the video which of the seconds it was. There's a nice museum as well in Pontefract. But in fact, I know how much is to do here. That's why I went to a pint before racing, frankly, anyway. And secondly, also we'll go relatively late on in the afternoon, of course, being an evening meeting. But it's a nice place, Pontefract. I think it's a nice sort of smallish place in the borough of Wakefield. As I said in one other video, Pontefract's one of the places had a racecourse tour along with Newbury, I think, and Newmarket. And as I said, I think of the MC, the woman who's doing today, and yes, another one along with the Scottish MC was Dr. Gordon Brown. As I said before, I can't remember her name. I think she's one who's married to a jockey. I think me doing it, as I said before, and she actually still did the tour. It could be a few quid for it. It's very nice for them to do that. I perfectly understood. I said, sorry, it's just you. Sorry, can you just give your money back and we won't do it. So each time I've actually been onto a parade ring, actually. She walked across one. I had a totally Frankel a few years ago, past the man of stud. And I walked into a parade ring when I was doing that else, but not across a parade ring, actually onto the ring itself. I was about tours on walk on the outside the parade ring. But yeah, it was a nice enough tour. I don't know if I'm not doing it now, but if I do it in the future, it's a nice, short, interesting tour. Other ones, Newmarket, to be perfectly frank, a little more expensive, I think, those ones. But all, racecourses, obviously things to look out for in the racecourses, along with, say, Chester. It's just a Goodwood and York, so you can have well, obviously when it's not COVID wasn't there, you can have trips to the start. I would do that for minor race because you can't hit anything at all from there of a world something of a race. But it's interesting to see things like horses enter the stalls. I never knew until I was there that it's odd numbers. It was either odd numbers first or even numbers first, but they do all the odd numbers first and then the even numbers, or the other way around, unless a trainer's asked for a horse to go, preferably to go in first or last. It's interesting, you just don't notice that sort of thing. But you wouldn't know there's obviously a plan, but you just think perhaps, put him in any order. But no, it is actually a plan there, how to do it. Perhaps not wanting horses to be next to each other immediately. I know the last time I came to Pontefract, or time before, but I was just awfully ill. I could hardly walk. Seriously, I had to sit down almost. I can't be made to a parade ring between races. I was so knackered. It's the only time I've really felt awfully ill. I'm not hungover, just ill. Was once at Uttoxeter 2015, one or two times been to Uttoxeter, and there I was so ill. But if you'd given me, said, by the way, you can have the train fare back and the ticket for course back and go another day, I would have done, but it was a advanced train ticket and I bought a ticket to Uttoxeter, so I couldn't do it. But I was just so ill. I don't know what, it got worse and worse during the day, and I just felt absolutely knackered. I'm fine. See, fine today, I don't know what on earth was wrong with it, but it was such hard work back. I think maybe last time I was here, but all the time before, just so unwell. It was quite incredible. Waiting for 10:21 at Pontefract. Monkhill. It's right over 3 train stations. I knew which one it was. So next meeting I've got is Sandown. I said in my the Doncaster video, got 4:45 train in the morning, unfortunately, because it's cheap, to 8 o'clock. I'll have a pint of a King and be partial to King's Cross, because that's the way I roll. And as I said there's nothing much to do in London until 10 o'clock anyway, and nothing really opens by that point, and it's so National Gallery. I said I've got a ticket to see a National Gallery. I was doing don't like that, so I got a chance to London before train. I think the train's about 11:50 from Waterloo to Esher. I think it's Esher, not Esher. I always get confused which one it is between Esher and Esher. I think it's Esher. It's pronounced Esher. That's what sound on. Pretty much sound on is. Sometimes you can walk across the course to get to the to the entrance there. I'll see if that's possible. It may, because of COVID, department, anything else, it may not be, but it's not a longest walk, but almost 20 minutes, a bit quicker. Some of them have to turn a bit quicker to get to entrance in a more normal, so I would say, direction rather than walking across the racecourse. I've got possibly a bit of a wheat sheaf, I think it is, in Esher, a couple of pints before my getting back to Waterloo from Esher and then train back. No chance to drink in London. I used to, a couple of times drinking what was the Albert Arms, I think it still is. In Esher, first time, the problem is where the Albert Arms is, and where sometimes the pubs in Esher are, is that, say, to the north-east of the station, middle of the racecourse, the south-west is the other pubs in the area, and of course, if you're going to the pubs in the south-west, to the, say, south-west area, it's a damn sight longer to go to get to the train station. And sometimes it will mean a pint in Esher, where this is true in London, even though it's slightly expensive in the parcel yard. Here's a Esher, one interesting with Albert Arms. It was a 25-year-old older pub, and I didn't check my ID, but it was interesting that. The second time I went in, I thought, well, another meeting at Sandown, unfortunately, ended up being, I didn't know it was an England rugby game, and it was just packed. It was so packed, and I couldn't even see the game with a large TV. And I'm looking at I bought a pint, and then gradually, Louis, after a quarter of an hour, just sort of watching rugby, not sitting down, and seeing how quick I was drinking, and I wasn't far finishing it. And I thought, I'll just finish a pint and have a pint in London then. But sadly, the Albert Arms, there's a family dispute in the area who owned the pub, and we ended up becoming a Fuller's pub. And frankly, I don't mind Fuller's too much. But basically, I haven't been in it since, but Fuller's pub, basically, Parkshire and King's Cross is a Fuller's pub. I want a Fuller's pub, I may as well go to one where my train is going from. But Wheat Sheaf, I found that we looked on the camera, URL app, and hopefully I can get in there, a couple of pints there, and then a train back from Sandown. There's a listed race at Sandown, so I'm keen to get to that. I've got a meeting in Windsor in a couple of weeks' time. I've got Air on the 22nd of June. I like Sandown, it's a good course, Sandown, and I'd like to get back to it. One thing I was saying, I say now, I may say on the day as well, if you ever go to Sandown, if you want to watch it, I don't know offhand if there's a 5 furlong race actually on the flat, often there is, on Saturday. I'll have a check at some point. The 5 furlong start is a one-off start. Course is a one-off course. Like the old Aintree course, flat course. It used to be a flat course entry until about 76, and it's a complete opposite of that course, in which the Sandown course goes from the top right to the bottom left. Aintree ran from the top left to bottom right. So that's course. When new Malmö course was brought in, they actually got rid of a flat course. And I have to say, racing, I suspect, a damn sight better than it was there. On the whole, I think the flat racing was pretty minor at Aintree. I think it's a much better race course for the change. But just be careful where you stand. I've seen people standing at the winning post for a race for a 5 furlong course, not really the one winning post, because they're saying there's a one-off straight 5 furlong track, and that's where you stand. You can get across actually. Now I don't know, because of COVID again, where you get across this time, but normally you just go across. So as long as the guy with member staff is usually out there, may say, hang around a minute. If it's a horse that's coming along, something obviously for the horse's safety and jockey's safety as much as your own. So but you can get across perfectly easily. Any ticket, I think you don't have to be any special ticket to get across. Just get across, and it's worth watching. I think the 5 furlong race from that place. You see what's coming towards you, and I think it's worth doing if you're interested in that sort of thing. A nice couple of pints in the Robin Hood. Okay, decent enough pints. Still think the Donkers and Brewery Tab does better pints, but it was perfectly nice drinkable stuff. I'm just remembering when I was going back to the train, I did drink another pub at Doncaster. I keep saying Doncaster here, at Pontefract. And I have to check the name up when I get home. I realised I went a bit longer at once. I went past Mucklow Station actually went to a different pub. I'll put that up at some point. That was a nice enough pub. I thought it existed, frankly. But I better get me train, or I'm staying in Doncaster. Doncaster, you're saying Doncaster. I'm staying in Pontefract all night if we don't get a train just coming now. That appeared to be it. I got home safely on the train for Pontefract. I had to change in to Leeds and then at York. After the pop out, I had to get some food. I'd basically not eaten since this morning. I don't really have a time at Pontefract. I hadn't had a time at a race meeting. Maybe too busy having a pint before and after racing at Robin Hood. Anyway, I was a bit annoyed after going out at Leeds. Just having too much things in my pocket. So I was just, I don't like taking a bag with me. I've shoved it in a bag in my pocket. So carrying one. I don't like sort of make life difficult getting into race courses. Not much of a delay really. I mean, but it's just easier. I was getting annoyed. I got to a shop, picked up a drink, sandwich, crisp, bit of chocolate, fine, went off, and got to the station, and I was something in me, carrying a bag. I've actually picked a smallish bag from the shop, even though I had one. And what I find is that it's unrelated to maybe to this. Is I'm find recycling, but what I suddenly found is that a small bag can be quite useful. I didn't have any in the house. A heap of large of over top for what I wanted to carry things into race courses bags with, but nothing small. So anyway, I left the shop. I got a small bag from there to carry stuff in, and get to the station. Get my mask on, get the train, and then oh bloody hell, what's happened to a mask? This is a problem. It is not in my pocket. It was not that long ago, and suddenly I'm thinking, oh my good god, it's not so much a new mask, it's how the hell I want to get on the train. It leads to York and then York to Newcastle. As my mother tells me, I'm not a very good liar. I just can't really come up with any medical reason for not having a mask. It's not a mask being lost is the problem. It's can I get on the train without a mask, or would I be sort of thrown off? And I think, oh, where's it? Bloody filling all things in my pockets. Of course, what's happened? I'm guessing I've knocked the mask out of my pocket when I was taking about something out of it, and I traced my steps, and I'm thinking, God, let's hope the mask is still there. No one's picked it up. Find something across the road. Oh, something there. I think it might be that mobile phone cover. No, it's my mask. Thank God for bloody that. Near a couple of drunk people, friendly. No issue with them at all. But it was just near a couple of drunk people. Go around back of them, pick the mask up, and leave. But my God, I say that could have been an absolute disastrous end to the journey at Pontefract. But luckily, it worked out, but my God, that was a close shave.